Njoki Shege is our sign language interpreter. Tonight, we begin with what has left manufacturers and business persons who depend on electricity counting losses following another lengthy power outage that affected several parts across the country. The Kenya Power Company has attributed the blackout to a fault at the Isinya substation, managing to restore power to some areas. Sam Gituku reports.
Operations at Nambole Manufacturing Farm in Isinya County had to stop after the power outage Thursday afternoon. Workers here would have been busy working on customers' orders, the machines now left to idle as they waited for the restoration of power. In Isinya town, barber shops, beauty parlors, eateries and other service centers were limited on services they could offer. Those who could, forced to turn to their standby generators for electricity.
Kila kitu inaendelea hapa tunafanya na stima. Wakati hakuna stima kama saa hii, tunaenda hasara sana. Kwa sababu wafanyikazi wamekuja hapa, tunalipa wafanyikazi, lakini hawafanyi production.
Sasa hizi leo hii tangu saa 7 stima imepotea, tumekuwa na wateja, lakini sasa wanakuja wakienda na inabidi tulipe nyumba, tushughulike maneno ya chakula pia. Sasa unapata unashindwa utafanyaje?
It is the story of traders, businessmen and manufacturers whose daily operations depend on the Kenya Power for the essential commodity. Shortly after 3 p.m., the Kenya Power released a statement confirming that a power outage had rocked the country following what they termed system disturbance. 2 hours later, the company reported that a fault at the Isinya substation had caused the national blackout. At the time, the Kenya Power reported that supply had been restored in parts of Western, South Nyanza, North Rift, Central Rift and Nairobi. The Kenya Power reported that the cause of the system disturbance had been identified and was being addressed by Ketraco engineers, while Kenya Power technical teams were working on restoring power supply to the rest of the country. And as the efforts ensued, businessmen in Kisii and other counties were counting their losses, reporting that the frequency of power outage was becoming unsustainable.
Kwa wiki kadhaa tumekuwa na shida stima, imetuaffect sana. Having in mind the fuel expensive to run a generator.
Namna hii stima inapotea, hakuna kufahamu vizuri watu wa Kenya Power. Mbona watufanyia hivi na sisi ni wateja wao?
Stima ya Migori iko na problem kila siku, sio mara ya kwanza. Inapotea kila wakati. Lakini ukienda kule, there's no any reactions. Wanasema tunakuja kutengeneza, hawakuji.
On January 10th this year, the country experienced a national blackout following the collapse of electricity towers in Imara Daima here in Nairobi. The government then blamed the collapse on vandalism of the towers and accused some KPLC officials of being behind it. 9 officials from the Kenya Power were arrested and arraigned on claims of economic sabotage. In September this year, 3 officials who had remained on the charge sheet were freed by a Kahawa court for lack of evidence. Following the January blackout, the government directed teams of investigators to review the integrity of the electricity transmission infrastructure with a view to correcting anomalies. In February this year, then Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i gazetted electricity transmission infrastructure as part of critical infrastructure to be accorded top-level security. 9 months later, the wide-scale power outage persists as Kenya Power seeks to fix the problem while the consumers remain at the mercy of the sole supplier. Sam Gituku, TV, Nairobi.